Good morning to all of you. Uh, Today I'm going to talk about on water and climate positive infrastructures, opportunities for consultancy in engineering. To introduce myself, I am Professor Mohan. I'm currently as Institute Chair Professor and Professor of Civil Engineering, Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Madras, Chennai. Uh, So my contents are to talk about a little about the sustainable development goals, then the opportunities for consultancy business, and how do we take the benefit of climate action and also the water situation, and clean energy, urban development, infrastructure, wastewater, and carbon services. And also what are the innovations that it is required in this domain of area. And let us summarize the lecture towards the end. So the main point is sustainability. It is a buzzword now, and it's not only a buzzword, but it is more a meaningful word that we have to make sustain the ability to carry out the system. So that's the meaning of sustainability. So the capacity to endure not only for us but also our future generations. Uh, a new fact of life, it is no longer enough that infrastructure work that it be constructed on time and within budget, or even that it lasts, but it now must be sustainable. So earlier we were talking about only the cost of the project or the benefit of the project, but now the benefit goes not only for our generation but also on the future generation. That is what is called sustainable. UN has come out with 17 goals of sustainable development to transform our world. The number one is no poverty, then zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institution. And the last one is partnership for the goals. So these goals provide an opportunity for every country to look at our own thing, have an introspection and go in the right direction what the sustainable development. The three dimensions of sustainable development that many of you are knowing. So the basic definition is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I need not elaborate, all of you are expert on this. But for sustainable development to be achieved, it is crucial to harmonize three core elements. One is economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. So earlier we were talking about only the economic growth, but now these two are very important, social inclusion as well as environmental protection. So that's what the environmental impact assessment, all those things have been come to mainly for the environmental protection. So another way to look at the sustainable development goals as a part of 5 P's. The first P is people. So they have divided that the 17 goals into these 5 headings: people, prosperity, peace, partnership, and planet. The same thing that you might have seen the other thing. So if I want to look at all these 5 P, then there is a good potential for consultancy. Or what we wanted is, or my main idea of this particular lecture to impress upon you that it is not the basic design or the basic analysis is more important. We have to go beyond that. Look at little more on environment, a little more on the decentralization rather than looking for the same old thinking process. So this is a conference. Last year it was held in Copenhagen on SDG Universal. you can just see the entire hotel was put on with all the 17 goals. So it is more on we have talked about, there are many aspects of this, but now the time has come that we have to start implementing many of the principles what it has been there in the sustainable development goal. Now we have to start implementing, and you are the best person as consulting engineers. You have to take up this in a greater way. So let me look at little more on the our Indian conditions. By this end of this year, almost another 1 month, nearly 17% of the total young population in the world will live in India. That means we have a lot of future generations. And whatever we construct or whatever we do, we have to look for little more beyond the design period or whatever you are, we have been following it. And especially in India, it is very much essential. So you can just see the other countries, and you can 2010 it is 6.83 billion, and it is going to be 7.55, and mostly the young people have to be between 15 and 34, is almost 40%, 45% will be in our country. So this is more important, and the world level it is 17%. That's why we have to be more concerned about sustainable development than any other country. And the working population is a driving factor in growing urban population by more than 1.3 times by 2020. So if you look at the growth in urban population, if you look at it, 2014, it is only 377 million. By 2020, it is 465. That means there are large improvement, but at the same time, we also assuming that it is an opportunity for India. So 29 is average age, will have the largest youth workforce, and 70% of the country's net GDP will be the contribution by these people, and 40% to be increase in the urban disposable income. So that way there is a lot of work on urbanization, smart cities, and other aspects are very much needed, which maybe always don't forget the sustainable development as back in our mind. So the large scale urbanization is posing several problems, which may be which will be accelerated further. Maybe if you are designing for another 50 years, at that time these problems may be aggravating. So we may have to start looking at little more on this particular one. The first and foremost is traffic. So the traffic congestion cost almost around $10 billion per year, the expenditure. 3 Indian cities in the top 10 list of worst traffic conditions. And 1% of the world's car in India amounts to 10% of the world's road accident death. So we have to be concerned about it. So can we not come out with a design which may reduce all these things, okay, yes, and improve the traffic condition and reduce the accident? That one has to really look at it. It is not designing the road. Designing the road not only for the vehicle traffic, but also look at on, can we reduce the air pollution? Can we reduce the road accident? To be, in fact, I would say it's a 0% road accident death because of the road, okay? Of course, people behavior also is important, but at the same time, we have to make our infrastructure which need to be little more accident free. Then power, India loses around $68 billion of its GDP due to electrical shortage. So India faces daily power outage of 30,000 megawatts. Over 300 million citizens do not have access to electricity. Okay, of course, this figure is having a discussion, but this is something that what it has been there in the record. On the other hand, the water is one of the major important problems, that 40 to 50% water lost in the distribution system. Especially in cities, this figure is very high, or 50% of the water, because you may be knowing that we are getting water for all the cities, at least minimum 100 kilometer outside. So it has to be transported. You take Chennai, it comes from 235, and Bangalore, it is more than 100 kilometer. Jaipur, it is around 200 kilometer. So every city gets water from almost around more than 100 kilometer. That means, and if 50% is water is lost in the distribution system, then that means whatever we are, if you look at the efficiency multiplication, then the efficiency is going to be very, very low. And 22 of India's 32 big cities face water crisis. And 170 million people in urban areas have no access to safe water. So on the other hand, similarly, because all of them will lead to the health care. So one doctor for, we have only 1,700 people, more than 1 in 4 newborn deaths occur in India, and 5% of Indians are covered by, only 5% is covered by insurance policy. This need to be improved quite a lot. So that is where there is a lot of opportunity for making a good consultant. I also take the water. If you look at it, the water side, it is 5% is only domestic, and industry is 6%, agriculture is 89%. And if you look at it, the water and sewage, what it waste and sewage, what it comes is around 16.24 trillion liters, and out of that, only 5.84 is treated. So remaining thing goes into again water bodies. So that means there is a need to have a decentralized treatment system for this. We need not go on think about the big treatment system, but I would always advocate an apartment should be self-sufficient in treatment and reuse the water. Okay, so the population is going to be increased quite a lot, and urbanization, as I mentioned. But at the same time, one good thing is the per capita income is going to increase. So people are going to be affordable in urban areas. So we can go for a decentralized wastewater treatment, or if an apartment is there in a city, it should be zero waste and zero liquid discharge. Why not we apply the same thing to apartment or even individual house? So that need to be looked into little more. And also agriculture, let us not forget about it. So that's also, there is a lot of scope that we need to improve upon it, or try to create infrastructure so that the efficiency of only around 35 to 45 what it is there should be increased to 90%. Then I think we can, a simple thumb rule is, if I can save 10% of the agriculture water, I can meet the domestic requirement. If 20% I can save, then I can meet the domestic and industrial requirement. So I'm not saying to take it out the water, what it is in the agriculture, but there is good chance to improve the efficiency. That what it is needed is a good infrastructure. So rather than anything else, it is more on infrastructure and also use of ICT. I think that will bring little better focus in our country. So maybe if you can just see all out of the cities, 54% of the water crisis, 54% of the India faces high to extremely high water stress. So high water stress is, if per person, if it is less than 1,700 meter cube, then automatically it is going to be a problem. And 844 million people have no access to safe water, and 1 million die due to water, sanitation, and hygiene related diseases each year. By 2030, the water use could 6% loss in GDP. So that means this is one of the major important thing. And one more point which is really striking our mind, and all of you should know, 21 cities which we have been go on using the groundwater. By end of this year, this will be run out of the groundwater. Especially the dynamic groundwater will not be there. So that means you may have to import from other places. So that makes cost is more, and there is a lot of environmental impact. So this is one thing that it is needed, but at the same time, we need to increase our production because more people, more population to be fed. So the domestic consumption, on the other hand, this is one thing that I request all the consulting engineers to look at it. That previously we were talking about only what the water, certain water comes into the apartment or in the house, and the same thing 80% goes as sewage, or even sometimes it is 90%. But now I think uh, we have taken a lead, and I happen to be the chairman of the State Environmental Expert Appraisal Committee. So we were insisting on that any apartment also should recycle the grey water and then utilize it for their toilet flushing purpose and other purposes. And you can just imagine, or this is the research data, that we are using almost around 28% for bathing, and toilet is 20%, and washing clothes is 19%, and washing utensils is 16%, and house cleaning is 7%. Of course, if you remove the drinking, cooking, and 2% on the other side, and also the toilet, so mostly almost around 66 to 70% is grey water. So this is not black water. What it comes from the toilet and urinals, that will be coming as a black water. Remaining thing as uh, almost around 66 to 70% can be recycled and put into mainly for toilet flushing or your green growth in your own apartment or in the cities where we had a lot of trees, and the trees have been cut mainly for the urban infrastructure, and that can be created by using this particular water. You need not look for some more water as such, and automatically it may go down and then get recharged if it is excess. So 70% of the water out of the water what I am taking inside can be recycled without any problem. You may ask that grey water, is it a costly one? No, it is only I have to do three things: sand filter and an activated carbon filter, and also do a disinfectant. This may not cost, this may be around only 1/20th of the sewage treatment cost. The power also is not requirement. So why not we start designing the system with these grey water recycling. Now it is in Tamil Nadu, it is by compulsion by the state government law, they wanted that the grey water should be recycled. There is no other option. I think this uh, lesson can be replicated in other cities also, where grey water can be recycled. So you can really make a drastic reduction of the water demand from the city population. That's the point that what I would like to tell on this. And also, we also, if you look at the water, this is something mind-boggling figure. So even something vegetarian or non-vegetarian, we are using a lot of water compared to other countries. And you can just see 1 kg of chicken to grow get a 1 kg of chicken, almost 7,736 liters have been spent on it. And whereas world average is 3,918. Whereas milk, we are also spending a lot of water, and 1,369, and compared to the world average itself is 990. And cotton is somewhat almost 3 times or 4 times the water what it is being used by world. So that means there is a lot of water are getting wasted, which may not be really being. That means there is a potential that with 8,242 liters, I can grow 1 kg of cotton. But what is happening here, it is 18,694. That means there is a room for making good efficiency. And egg, for that matter, it is almost around double the amount that what we are using it. And compared to the annual domestic consumption also, we are we are on the little on the higher side, and maybe chicken, milk, or cotton and egg. So both together I think this is what it is going to increase, and by uh, uh, future period, it will be much more as important. So unless we start looking at how to reduce this thing, at least at the world average level, then we'll be able to solve some of the water problems. So the water issues today, in every sector we consume water, but also pollute the same. In developing countries, 70% of the industrial estates are dumped without treatment. This is what I'm not saying, World Development Report of 2013. Each liter of wastewater discharge further pollutes, again, almost around 10 liters of water, and raising industrial use to 35 to 50%. So wastewater treatment system are essentially installed only to meet the wastewater discharge norms. Industry meets required. So we have to look for a decentralized, safe treatment and disposal of wastewater is a challenge. I think when we design a system, let us design for all and all for one. That is what, especially on the water, you may have to look at it, and also think of this thing: effective conservation, reduce and recycling is a need of the hour. So that, I think, we have to change our mindset on this. The water issues on the tomorrow's, in near future, all sector would consume more water than today for capacity building and operation. Where we are going to get this additional water? It's not possible, because as per hydrological science, the total amount of water is constant. So it may be there in the glacier, or it may be there in a sea, or it may be in a land as surface water or groundwater, but total is constant. So whether you take a 1950 data or 2020 data, it is the same. So it is not, unless we start creating something from air. The water also is now being researched on that, but the air water also, it comes along the cycle, hydrological cycle. So one has to find new water, but that may not be possible unless we all move to some other planet. It may not be possible. There also the water may not be available. So only way is that we have to conserve or try to improve the efficiency in water, and let us not make lot of wastewater. And there is, and also I would always say that there's nothing called wastewater. So it is, I think our mindset should change, that it is not a wastewater, it is a used water, and only the pollution is 1%. So if the decentralized wastewater treatment systems are available in every house or every apartment or every industry, I think we can manage without any problem, and that will be sustainable water system. So the three things which I look at on that is, the answer is water reuse technologies and resources recovery, and also you can generate energy from the sludge or the solid waste what we are talking about. So these are very essential for the water issues. So this is, I have already told that we are getting cities in search of for water. Chennai get from 235 kilometer, and Bangalore is around 100 kilometer. Hyderabad is around 130 kilometer, and Bhopal it's more than 30 kilometer, and even Agra, which is very nearby, but needs extensive treatment. So now there is a new thinking process, that what is called a swap project. Treated wastewater used by industries and agriculture frees up water which could be used to meet the city's water demand. So this water demand, that is what, if they can reuse both in agriculture and the industries, then that water can be used for the other demand. Or I would say all the three demand, domestic or industry or the agriculture, have to be a little more efficient, so that you can reuse the same water and then try to utilize it. Then that will be the only solution for water. So when you make a design or consultancy. I think this is very important that we have to take into more on look out on sustainability on this thinking process. So in addition to it, we have other problem, which is called climate change. So even though sometimes people say that industries are responsible for it, it is not. Industries, some portion it is responsible. But in addition, we have dumping lot of solid waste. So these solid waste will emanate CH4 or methane quite a lot compared to any other emission. So CH4 has almost around 21 times more climate change or the potential, okay, or the climate change creating potential almost around 21 times than the CO2. So if I can solve the solid waste problem, then I may solve the climate change problem. That means 2-degree rise is what it is being postulated, and we have to look at it. It is not in any norms for our Indian side. 2-degree is nothing. People will say it is only 2-degree we can manage. No, the 2-degree makes lot of changes both in water and even ecosystem. I would say that 1-degree rise itself will make lot of microorganisms to die and new vulnerable microorganism will come. So this may create more drought and somewhere more flood, and all these things will be much more problem. So unless we reduce our potential for the climate change potential, that then only we'll be able to do that. Otherwise, whatever we are talking about, this is another negative point. So unless we attack on that, that will take away some more water, or somewhere it will be making flood, somewhere it is making drought, and somewhere the automatically your agriculture will be affected, drinking water will be affected, and so on. So by 2050, if the emissions could have to be cut by over 60% relative to the business as usual scenario in order to give a reasonable change in staying below this warming target. Even to retain within 2 degrees, we have to cut down a lot of 60% of the emissions. So how do we do that? So agriculture also is not an exception. So there also we are certain crops will release some methane. So one has to be very careful on it. And even in a household, we have a lot of emissions. So this need to be looked into it. That is what the gap, which is almost around 63% if we are going business as usual. Okay. So, and the climate change has a lot of impact, not only on the water available, but energy sector, it will be having a problem, and also the environmental impact. Even for growth, it will be a major issue, and especially the child mortality, all those things also may be, or has been reported that that may also may affect, will be affected by climate change. So one has to really look at on can we not reduce the temperature as such within. So that is where the green infrastructure will come into picture. So climate action, is this a cost or an opportunity for business? So I would say that now this is a good opportunity for business. The water, any uh, uh, kind of a problem, then it comes, then that automatically makes people to work for a new solution. So I would always look at on the climate change and the water scarcity will be good for you to think of a new, maybe, if you are designing a highway, or if you are designing a treatment plant, or if you are designing a apartment, or any neighborhood, or even the thing, everything, if you start looking at this, so there is a very good possibility that your innovative design will help a lot for the consultancy business. So there are ways that we can start looking at it. So mainly, how do we do that? Research and development, how to combat the climate change, or how to combat the water thing, or wastewater treatment, or maybe the greenhouse gas emission reduction. All those things that need to go into your actual implementation. So, of course, you need financing, technology, and ideas. We may have to demonstrate and deployment. That is what where we are now. So we may have some technologies, and more importantly, I would always look for some nature-based technologies rather than something that, like, wastewater treatment. We look at the very old technique of our own country, which is constructed wetland. So these wetlands, especially in Madurai, it has been working for 200 years. The wastewater is gone into some land, and in that land they are growing grass and vegetables. It is only at that time it was only sewage contains only the waste from the toilet and so on. But nowadays, I think there are some more contaminants which are called emerging contaminants are all coming. So earlier, this has been proved to be a very good technique. So let us also look at on that for sustainable development, and you can go for market. So my request is we have to go very step, and there is no what do you call the preparing time. It may not be there now. There is no time. We have to start, wake up, and then start running. Then only we may be able to meet the other countries' requirements, or we can be equal to that. So my next couple of slides, I would like to talk about on the opportunities for consultancy. For these are the tech areas where one has to really look at it on in terms of what I try to tell is especially water and also the waste. These thing, and also of course infrastructure. So first is the consultancy businesses responding to climate change and water gain and competitive edge from technology leadership. So you can claim that you are coming out with a new design which can take care of the climate change and also the water efficient. I think these two have to go parallelly. The firms can address flaws within our own operations, supply chain, and markets to reduce the climate risk. So here also we are trying to look at it. Even solid waste is a supply chain, and look at on how I can make that supply chain to be more efficient without uh, discharging a lot of or emanating a lot of methane. That once you have the good supply chain where you get more material which can pollute, or the air pollution will be more, and accordingly you can look at it. So the accelerate innovation in high demand climate friendly services and technologies, and water friendly services and technologies, avoid cost, manage liabilities, build resilient communities, expand market share and create wealth, build corporate reputation and good citizenship. That there is a good chance that we have to start working on it on the both on climate change and water sector. So the clean energy is one area where, in fact, we are very good. So we have a lot of solar energy compared to European countries or something. We have throughout the 12 months we have. So can we not work on that particular clean energy? So according to international energy assessment side, so $24 trillion of investment is needed by 2020 to keep temperature rises below the 2-degree goal. So unless we start with the clean energy rather than the energy which may, like coal, where if you are doing you may get energy but lot of pollution and emission of SO2, CO2, and this will be very high. So if I want to reduce it, I have to look for clean energy. The clean energy are wind, solar, and geothermal is one which we have not yet touched. We have started a little bit, but there is a lot of, whereas US has gone almost very far out on using the geothermal energy. So in fact, last year I was in University of Illinois, Chicago. So two buildings are completely whatever air conditioned or heated will be only by through geothermal. Even their own energy for the two big buildings are only from geothermal. So I think we have to start looking at that, bioenergy and nuclear, carbon capture. This is one of the new techniques, so that you need not send a lot of CO2 out. So you can store it, and by the trees are very important on that. So a lot of carbon capture and storage, electric vehicles, our emission will be less, and energy efficiency. So there is a very good opportunities on rather than putting only on electrical energy or coal-based thermal energy. You go for this particular one. So if you can include this into your design, it will be much more better, or it is more wanted as far as the sustainable development and the climate change side. So urban development, there are a lot of consultancy opportunity. You can have energy efficiency is a fundamental. So building energy efficiency, opportunity to span grass, residential, commercial and industrial building, business opportunities and service need. And you have load reduction and energy management, energy efficient assessment, auditing. Auditing is one of the very good thing that you can take a lot of consultancy on is what it is needed. Then cities need to be planned differently. So now it's not a buzzword, but this is a need of the hour. One is low carbon. So even when we have what we are making it, whenever we design a treatment plan, we also estimate what is the carbon footprint. And if I am going to tell about two treatment plant, I compare with carbon footprint or water footprint. And if I am reducing the carbon footprint, then I am changing, I am contributing less to climate change. And that is what the low carbon technologies. So it is not low technology, low carbon technologies and mass transit, okay, and climate resilient. So sometimes what we have, one of the problem is if one city has one population and another city has higher population, we just replicate. Suppose Barcelona density is more 28 times higher than the Atlanta. We are just designing 28 times, but which may not be. So you can design the same thing with only some 2 times or 3 times. We can still develop while carrying the same number of people. So first aim at the same level. Reality, it is not so. We can do quite a lot on this. So the key takeaway for that is spatial structures matter a lot. So one has to really look at on that particular aspect here. Then the urban planning and design, even people are now looking at urban forestry. Because why urban forestry? Because a lot of carbon emission that it comes from cities, because you have concrete buildings and so on. So that will create the CO2 emission or the SO2 emission. All those things can be reduced by urban forestry. So these are rooftop garden. There are countries like Netherlands. They have created completely within the last 10 years the urban forestry and rooftop gardens. And they are, of course, they are a very small country, but they can do that very well. And efficient transportation, bus rapid transit system, and those things. These are also, it's a climate action in urban development. Okay, so one has to think of. So now we have started in our country with the smart cities, but there is a long way to go. And the smart cities need to be smart education, smart health, smart IT and communication, smart governance and smart environment, smart water and smart buildings, smart transportation, smart energy. So almost the government is investing a lot of money on that. Okay, so but of course with the PPP model, and 80 to 85% is by private agencies. but this we need to go a long way, and I think that's a good start. We have to look at on sustainability, water, energy, and climate change. All of them are part of the smart city attributes. So there are, they also have taken at different cities on the different aspect should be demonstrated. So mainly smart governance is Bhopal, smart building is Gujarat, smart environment is Mumbai, smart IT and communication is Bangalore, smart education is Tamil Nadu, smart health is again Chennai, and smart transportation Visakhapatnam, and smart energy is Ghaziabad. So these are all implemented across the pan India, and there are good way of government will reap long-term benefits by investing in smart cities. Smart cities, one of the good concept is it uh, takes in transportation, energy, water, and all other things which are on a long-term impact. That way, it is very good, and and it attracts huge foreign investment and high GDP, and also the environment wise it will be very good. And it is planned to have 100 cities which have been included 20, 40, and 40. So this they are going to be. We hope that this will be a good kind of 100 smart cities will be an example for other countries also. So in addition, the 100 smart cities which are already identified are given here, and some cities are more than 5 million, 1 to 5 million, and less than 1 million. So you can just see these are all eight cities are more 5 million population, whereas these are all the thing. So the infrastructure, there is a lot of opportunity. So investment on climate change adaptation and water efficient, energy efficient are important. See, water efficient and energy efficient will automatically go into climate change adaptation. So you can just the World Bank study found that between 2010 and 2050, the cost of adapting to a 2-degree warmer the world is 70 billion to $100 billion a year. So specific climate justified measures are needed to put in place safe tolerances to climate change impact and uncertainties in water services, energy, and industry. This is what I would like to tell. This includes development and deployment of infrastructure adapted to extreme, including water supply and treatment, drainage, hydropower, and shoreline management. So again, you have a very good important thing: water resource infrastructure, transport infrastructure, coastal infrastructure. Because most of our cities are in coast, and of course, urban infrastructure. One has to really do a lot of things on looking at the climate change. Even for water resource infrastructure, one has to look at on how to design a dam which can take care of this climate change. So you can just, if you look at the wastewater or the waste, the water source, water service will be most affected by the impact of climate change, like flooding, storms, melting ice, sea level rise, and drought. For wastewater, the businesses can focus on facilities and produce operation, may redesigning mainly as a decentralized one. Don't try to have the same idea of collect everything by spending a lot of energy. It was at the center of the city, there may be a treatment plant, but now there is no space. So the treatment plant has to go at least around 20-25 kilometers away from the city. So you have to pump it. So you need a lot of energy. So that is why I am always saying that go for decentralized wastewater treatment system, and also recycling the water after treatment. So adaptive water management will focus on technologies and products such as increased water availability, increasing storage capacity, desalination and water harvesting scheme in agriculture, improved water efficiency or recycling water or reducing losses in the existing system. So you may have to go for a dual plumbing system. reducing demand for irrigation, enhancing water infrastructure designs. And carbon services, which is a very important thing that all of you can start something, because we need to go for a clean development mechanism. Anything they decide, that should be a clean development, whatever, whether you are developing the infrastructure or you are developing an industry or product, that should be clean. That means the emission will be very, very less. So there are around 6,000 CDM projects in total, but these transactions have now, we may have to improve upon it. Future water and climate agreements may result in demands that it will be. So CDM provided a range of opportunities. So we can talk about something on the carbon services, low carbon technologies, and innovation and high tech firm. This also, I think, my request is all the consultancy organizations should have a good together jointly develop an R&D platform or R&D unit, which can come out with some new innovative technologies for new and traditional technology form, improved international competitiveness, or as first movers. Okay, so I would say that we have to look at on identifying the opportunity areas, solution fitment, build dedicated team, identify potential partners, collaboration with state governments, thought leadership, and bring global capabilities. I think that way Indian brains are no way inferior to any other brain. So in fact, it is much superior. And if we cannot do it, no one else can do that particular one. Okay. So I think with that, I will summarize. The challenge is really great. So the point you always remember, the emissions should cut at least 60% relative to a business as usual by 2050. Address energy system, water system, cities, infrastructure to meet the emission goal, and business have an opportunity. They can decrease cost, increase market share, and heighten your competitive edge. And taking climate action involves innovation. So you can't use the same technology what it is there. So do something on investment. At least 10% of your profit should go for R&D to get some innovative solution. That is technologies, products, services that help society to adapt climate change and mitigate greenhouse gas emission. Okay. So I think with this, I will stop here. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts to all of you. And only my request is to all of you, one humble request that here afterwards, don't call as a wastewater. It is only used water with only 1% as a thing. I would always say that suppose I am ill, my family don't throw me out of my home. So we take some medicine and then we'll continue the journey. The same way, take the wastewater, that 1% sickness, we have to remove it and make the journey continue rather than sending it with the same sick person outside. And Corona has given that solution that you should also always have that kind of an immunity. So try to use that. It is not a wastewater, it is a used water. The second is there is nothing called wastewater treatment. It is water recover plant, or don't say treatment. It is water recover plant. The third one is anything, call it as a, don't call it as a waste, whether solid waste or anything, not as a waste, but it is a resource. Use that as a resource, and I think our country can lead on sustainable development with all your change of mind and good consultancy, taking into account all these things rather than following the traditional path. Thank you very much.